What is up, everyone? I'm a little bit early today, but that's cool. My name is Trevor, and this is Build with the CEO. And I got this nice fancy background now. It's not one of those crazy Zoom backgrounds. Because when you have that crazy Zoom background, you have long hair like I do, it makes your head look a little goofy. So I'm super excited about today. We've had some great we've had some great engagement in the thing was all smushed. We had some great engagement in the Facebook group over the last week. And if you're not in that, I highly suggest you getting in there. There's a ton of coaches that are super helpful in the Facebook group. So if you have questions with coaching in general or with the platform, that kind of stuff, it's a great place to just collaborate with other coaches. So today's episode, we are going to talk about corporate wellness. I think this is a really pertinent topic as companies are becoming a little bit more aware of um, ways that they can keep their employees healthy and they're willing to invest in it. And Coach Catalyst is an incredible platform to be able to do that at scale and provide a really good experience that doesn't make you want to shoot your foot off trying to help hundreds, potentially thousands of people in a corporate wellness setting. And so this question was all brought on by a post in our Facebook group. We actually have a couple people that are going to be doing some corporate wellness stuff. So I'm going to make sure I pull it up here so I can pull up the exact question. But one person was already moving forward with the corporate wellness. We were talking a lot about pricing. So that's something that I think we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about delivery. That was another person that was asking, like, how do they deliver all this stuff? And I have some experience in corporate wellness. We've done it with our facilities, so I'll kind of speak to that a little bit as well, and make sure that kind of giving you guys a little bit of background on it. So just to give you an idea, so we've done corporate wellness with a number of different kind of institutions inside of our local community. Ones that we've found to be the most fruitful are financial institutions, so like banks, credit unions, that kind of stuff. Their employees typically are very sedentary, but they also typically have good margins that allow them to invest in their employees' health, which is kind of cool. We have also had some luck with municipalities, city and county type governments, and that's been another great one. Many of them have a wellness budget that they need to utilize each year. And if you've ever been in government type of entities, you know that the budget is a use it or lose it type of thing. And if I don't use it this year, I don't get it next year. And so that is that's another good type of business that we can start looking at and coming in and being able to help. Depending on your skill set, we could get into things like manufacturing and other things. But for most coaches, what we recommend first and foremost is just starting with your inner circle, with your network. Who do you have? Who do you have connections to already that are part of businesses that maybe make sense for things like this? And preferably they're at a level that has some decision making. So you can talk to people that make decisions. If we're trying to go for Fortune 500, Fortune 100, those types of companies, while it would be a great get one, it's a very long road unless you know people at certain levels that allow you to move it forward. Those are typically really long sales cycles where if you have some contacts, great. I think pursue it, but I wouldn't bet the farm on those type of companies. So finding companies that are 10, 20, 50 employees are typically like a really good sweet spot where they typically have margins or they already have a wellness program as part of their budget, which then is just a matter of meeting the right people and then kind of showing how you can support them and provide value in what they're doing. So, yeah, I'm gonna try and pop in the person that wrote this question in. I'm gonna quick find this thing. So give me a second here to pop around here to find this question, um, and then we'll get into it. So if you're just jumping on, we were just talking about kind of what are some of the best spots or the best businesses to start going after corporate wellness. I kind of like small to medium sized, but it's really like who is in your network, who do you know, because those are going to be the best places to go. So yeah, and some luck that we've had are municipalities, financial institutions typically tend to be some of the best places to provide a ton of value. And then the next kind of piece with it is like, what do we even offer, right? What do we offer that's of value to the business that we can come in and do, right? At scale, because we need to be thinking about stuff with 20, 50, 100 people. And one of the best ways to do that is looking at, actually, I should back up here just a little bit. So the first step in all of this is having a conversation and finding out what's important to those institutions, or to those companies, because everyone thinks a little bit differently. Some people want more movement-based stuff. Other people want more stress reduction. Some people want kind of workplace wellness. Other people want weight loss. And it's hard to just come in with a blank proposal. And so I would definitely recommend that we start with just having a conversation with those people and figuring out what does a wellness program look like for that person, or for that company. Is it small? Is it large? Is it everyone? Is it a subset of the company? We have to have that conversation first. Okay. So like if we're not even having those conversations yet, then I wouldn't even worry about like the X's and O's. The X's and O's on what the program actually is can be figured out at any time. Like that's not necessarily the hard part. The hard part is getting the person, right, to like at least start having the meetings. So that's step one. We need to just start having the meetings with people that are in the know. Then what we found a lot of luck with is starting just like we would with a lot of other types of programs inside of like facilities or inside of your coaching programs, right? Like what's a short-term thing that we can come in and do and provide value? It's many times hard for people to just drop a large, six-figure type contract without a whole lot of like proof, right? And unless you've done this a lot, it's hard for you to have a lot of proof. And so starting with just some sort of like a challenge works really well. 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We've done it where we've actually went to the facilities. We brought our in-body with. We did body composition scans at the beginning. We went over in the middle. We did it in the middle. And we did it at the end. And then we did lunch and learns throughout. So every week we came in and gave a presentation on a different topic throughout. And so that would be an example of a little bit more intensive type program. But I mean, there's lots of things that you can do, right? With the 6-week challenge, you're providing education, you're providing accountability, you're providing maybe group coaching, maybe you're providing a discount into your facility, that kind of stuff, if you have one. That makes sense. So we have to look at like, what do we have available to us, right? And those are just going to be features that we could bring to the table when we're starting to figure out what this company wants. So I'm going to read the question here. I finally got it up, and just kind of show you guys what kind of brought this question up. So using Coach Catalyst for the beginning of the question was using Coach Catalyst for corporate wellness programming. So I need to find the actual post inside of Facebook because there was a lot more context to it. And I think she's going to jump on here in a little bit, and we were going to talk it out live. So yeah, if we are live on, hold on a second, let me look on Riverside here. If you're just jumping on the stream, oh, perfect. Crystal's here. Awesome. I'm going to pull her on the stream, and we'll rock and roll. So we'll let her pop in, and then we'll give a little more context to this as well. But I mean, while Chris is jumping on, I think corporate wellness can be an incredible opportunity in lots of different ways, whether you're offline and have a gym or you're online coach. This can be a great way to really coach at scale and provide a ton of value and be a significant revenue stream for your business. So let's see if we can get Crystal in. Oh, I just showed it on the stream. I need to actually invite her in. Crystal, can you like ask to come on? I believe you have to kind of request to come on. I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere on the side where you just request to come on. If not, I'll grab you a different link that you can jump on with. But what my goal here was to have Crystal come on and talk about her specific situation so that she can give us a little bit more context on what she's doing. So give me a couple seconds here. I'm going to grab this link and we'll pass it over to Crystal. All right, Crystal, I'm going to drop you a link and you can just jump into that link. It should be in the chat. I'd be curious too. Anyone that's listening, have you guys done some corporate wellness stuff? Like, have you had success in this? Because I mean, I'm really speaking from a N=1 type of thing. And so, if you've had any experience with this, definitely drop it in the chat. I'd love to know what you've had success with if you've done it, or even if you're interested in corporate wellness, throw it in the chat. That can give me some insight into kind of who's in the audience, who's listening, and also if there's something that you're doing that's really cool. I'd love to tell more people about it. All right, hold on, Crystal. We will get this thing in here. I'm gonna throw it in a different chat. Trying to do 50 things at once. All right. Live stream chat. Let's see if we can get this. See if we can get this thing on, Crystal. Get this thing working. All right. Cool. Crystal, see if you can copy and paste that off of the screen, um, and see if you can throw that into your browser. Let me know if you can see that. I'll post it up there one more time, and then you can jump in with this one. So cool. All right. So once Crystal jumps on, and then I've got some other questions here that we're going to answer from Michael, who dropped it in the Facebook group. So some of his questions were to do quarterly or yearly programs usually makes more sense. Would pricing in tiers, much like you do for Coach Catalyst platform, be reasonable depending on how many people are in the company? We're looking to start with much smaller local companies, and how do you set up a contract when doing this stuff? Hold on a sec. Crystal, you don't need to be on a computer. You can be on your phone, but you may need to download Riverside. So I'm going to run through these questions, and then whenever you get that thing rocking and rolling, then you can just jump on. So, all right. So we'll answer these ones first. Do quarterly or yearly programs make more sense? So how we typically structure some of our yearly type programs are split up into quarters. Okay. Because there's going to be a few pieces to any corporate wellness program. One is going to be, we need an assessment process, right? So we can assess people maybe at the beginning of the year, assess them at the end of the year, so we can show efficacy of what we're doing, right? So that assessment might be around stress, it might be around body metrics, it might be around energy, whatever those things are. We need some sort of assessment at the beginning, and probably assess every quarter to see like, hey, what's working? Are we improving? Which then we can bring back to the organization. So like, hey, your money is going to good use and it's helping improve your employees' health, and here's how. Sometimes you can also partner with a local medical agency to come in and do maybe things like blood work or blood pressure or some other things like that. If you just do some quick Google searches, you'll find some assessment type stuff. But we want an assessment first and foremost, right at the beginning. And then whether it's quarterly or whether it's yearly, that's kind of up to you and how you're structuring this. But if we look at a yearly format, I like quarterly type programs. So you have a program that maybe lasts 6 to 8 weeks, right? A quarter is typically 12-ish weeks. And so you're going to be doing a program for about 3/4 of that. And then they have a little bit of time off, and then you come in and do another one. But some corporate wellness programs might be you're coming in and giving a lunch and learn. You're giving 12 of them once a month, coming in and coaching those people, or not coaching them, but giving a presentation, right? So those could be another example. You can do a newsletter that comes out maybe weekly, and that newsletter is just more education, information to help people be healthier in the workplace. There could be a consultation on helping improve the environment of the workplace to encourage healthier behaviors, right? It could be having fruit in the break room, or vegetables in the break room, or water in the fridge, or different energy drinks that help improve, or like that help someone rather than sodas and that kind of stuff. So you could look at helping structure the environment. Are there stand-up desks that they could be using? I mean, I think there's a lot of ways where you can do a consult on, like maybe it's really a study on how to improve the workplace, and you're going to come in, you're going to do an overview, and you're going to give them a bunch of suggestions on how they could improve that. I mean, that's another kind of value add that you could have to it. But then you could have these quarterly challenges or programs, or whatever you want to call them. And typically I would offer multiple type of programs. So one probably based around weight loss, right, or nutrition. Another one based around maybe a movement component or workouts. another one based around maybe a stress management or more lifestyle type behaviors. But a lot of it, I think, should be tailored to the company that you're working with. Are these very sedentary individuals? Are they construction workers? Are they like, what does their day to day look like? And can we um, create some programs that help those people be successful, right? And so I like quarterly programs, a couple programs each quarter, especially if we're dealing with 20, 30, 50 people. That gives a little more variety, and now we're hitting a greater population of that workforce. So I think that can be helpful as well. So just to kind of recap, there's newsletters, there are lunch and learns that you come in and give live, right? There are programs that you could run quarterly, or at whatever frequency that you want to do. There's an audit that you could come in and then provide suggestions, kind of like a study. You could interview some of the employees and create kind of like a plan for this company to create a healthier workplace. Right, it's really an interesting one as well. And then if you do have the skills, or you could have a weekly yoga class, you could have functional training. It really depends, and you just start kind of building up this package, and then we start to think about pricing. Right, what does that look like? I kind of did a little bit of research before this, and I was looking at some of the major companies, and one major one is Virgin Pulse. They have a workplace wellness type program, and a lot of it's app based for them, but they charge about $3 per employee per month. Okay, so at 100 employees, right, $300 a month is what they would charge that particular company, right? $3 per employee per month, which I think is really, really low. But they have like scale, and I think they're going after major corporations. So, right, at a thousand employees, you're at $3 per employee per month. It's 3,000 a month times 12 months. We're at like a $36,000 contract, right? 5,000, right? Multiply that by five. It's a $150,000 contract, and you can get pretty big pretty quick. And you could probably get to those numbers if you're dealing with the thousands. But I think you could reasonably get around, even if it's like $10 per employee per month, right? And that's 50 employees. That's $500 a month, if my math is correct, right? Which is pretty reasonable. And then you have to just decide whether or not that's worth it for 50 employees. Okay, maybe this is $1,000 a month, and I think it really depends on what their needs are, how much input you're going to have, or like how much different features you're going to be providing to this company, and then we start looking at that pricing. Oh, Crystal, let me see if. Sorry, I'm trying to just get Crystal into the chat so we can talk a little bit more about hers. But usually there is a button where you can request to join. I don't know if it's at the bottom or if that feature is turned off. Let me see if I can. Look in my settings here and grab it. No, I don't see it anywhere. Let me try to enable the waiting room and see if that does anything. We'll click around there a little bit, Crystal, and see if you can find anywhere else where it maybe would let you request to join. I know Ashley did it one time, but I don't know how she did it. I don't know how it works from the other end. So, and Crystal, feel free to just kind of like drop some stuff into the chat, and then we'll kind of ask them as well. So, looking at like pricing, I think pricing is really challenge. It's a big time challenge. But I think you just start from a minimum of like, how much time and effort am I going to put into this? That's step one, and then value your time, right? Is your time worth $150 an hour? Is it worth $200 an hour? Right? Is it you and another person? So starting there, is thinking like, okay, how much time am I going to input into this every month, right? And let's say we value at $150 an hour, right? And you say every month I'm going to put 10 hours into this. All right, now we're at a $1,500 program, right? So I think it's a good place where you could start. What are your hard costs? What are your time costs? Right there, and then we can start looking at the value. What is the value that you're going to be providing to these people, right? And so, and then we can start to add that. Typically, whatever you come up with, add 50% more, just as a margin. because there may be other costs and things that come up from it. So those are just things, some things to be aware of. I wish I had like a better way to say, hey, just charge this much, but it is a little bit different. And so one of the things that Crystal asked is what makes for a strong onboarding process using Coach Catalyst. So like we think about Coach Catalyst as like an education tool, right? Where you can systemize the education process across tens, hundreds, thousands of people. And so I think this is a question, but I would agree that there needs to be a strong onboarding process for this wellness program. And it's really just like telling people all about like what it is that they're getting, right? And so like where to find everything, how to contact. Maybe we're using resources. So here are all the different resources and that kind of stuff that people have available to them. If you're doing a newsletter, when is it coming out? If you're doing this, like when is it happening? The different programs that they maybe get to choose from. It's really just doing an overview. And I would do a lot of video content so that they are being connected to you and they know who the person is that's running this program. And I think if possible, getting in there and doing some lunch and learns, I think that can go a long ways. And it can go a long ways in just developing a relationship with these people. And honestly, like I would try and potentially train people in the C-suite or like the HR director or whoever. Let's give some like free coaching away to those people, because that's just going to develop some goodwill that allows you to create a better relationship, right? And potentially a better program. So hopefully I'm still streaming on Facebook. I just kind of clicked out of that. So let me click back here and see if it's still going. Yep. All right. It appears to still be going. So Genevieve says something about, do you do an email sequence for onboarding? If you're going to be doing everything through the app, I would do it in the app, right? Like where do you want to be communicating with these people? The last thing I would want is that many emails coming in. I would want a centralized communication platform to do all of it. And that's why Coach Kettles exists. And then how do you load hundreds at a time into CC? So one, Crystal, that's a good problem to have. Two is you would use like a CSV file. So you may have a link that they click to like fill out a form or something like that. So we're collecting all of these email addresses, right? They have to raise their hands somehow, right? Or if we're just loading all of the people in, that the HR is giving us a list of all the employees, then they would just get a CSV file. So you take the CSV file, you'd go to add a client, you'd add the CSV, you'd map all the fields, and then you would add them in. So I would probably have an onboarding program that they go into right away when we add them in, so they start getting content from us right away. Some other things, and I've talked about this in the past that I think are helpful in just getting better adoption of a technology platform, is when someone downloads the app, right? If possible, too, you can even do the like. I mean, I know, Crystal, you're running this thing like right now, so it may not be possible. Branded apps go a long ways as well in just increasing the perceived value. Right, I've created this app specifically for your company, and you can take it a step further if you're dealing with a large enough company. Is you can brand the app for that company, so it makes the company look good, right? And you're using the company's branded wellness app, which is kind of cool. But it's just running Coach Catalyst technology, and you're in there rocking and rolling with it all. And that can be a way for you to charge more too, or when you're having that conversation, you're like, hey, do you want your own branded app? Costs an additional $200 a month, right? It only costs you $50 a month. That's a $150 margin that you don't have to really do anything for. And so, yeah, so get them as part of the onboarding process, and we want to get them to take the app and like bring it all the way to their home screen. Okay. Because right now when you download a new app, right, it goes to page 275, and page 275 isn't a good place for an accountability app to be, because there's going to be red dots, notification dots on the app that help kind of prompt the person to go into it. Push notifications, I'm just finding aren't the best way anymore, because you get so many of them, right? So if I just go through like my push notifications from today, I've got tons of them, right? Potentially hundreds of them today. But the reason the message app works so well is because it lives in your home screen on the bottom, and it has that red dot on it. When I see the red dot on it, I click on it, right? So we can do the same thing with other apps, right? But we have it inside, but we have it on the home screen. So the red dot is there, which prompts me to go into it, and then I communicate. Cool thing is too, you can create communities if you want, if that makes sense for the employees. You could have communities per department, right? Which then we can do challenges and like we can really gamify this if we want to. So those are just kind of some best practices and some things around what I would do as part of the onboarding process. Right? We don't want to leave anything up to chance. We don't want to leave anything up to interpretation. Lay it all out in the onboarding process so that it's very clear on what's going to be happening next. So Genevieve said in Facebook, so would you have two Coach Catalyst accounts to brand the company app? No, you wouldn't need two Coach Catalyst accounts because you can have all the clients in your account, but the clients just download the branded app instead of the My Coach app or anything else. One thing to note there is you would need to change your welcome email to include the company's branded app when you add all of those people. So that's taking them to the company's branded app rather than the My Coach app. And then if you also have a branded app for maybe your business, you just need to make sure you change those welcome emails, change the links on them. So when those welcome emails go out, they're getting the right app to download. Let me pop over to YouTube just to make sure we don't have any questions there. Perfect. Sweet. All right. So, and Crystal came in with, yes, I was thinking about that, $40 per month, I think. And Crystal, remind me again, how many employees was this? I think it was like 1,000 employees or something like that. And I think you already got an agreement for $5,000. So correct me on that stuff. All right, so I'm seeing it. So they have 5K. Explain a little bit more about what you mean by they have 5K, and I'll answer this other one while you're doing that. How many prep days do you suggest before starting the program? I mean, if the people are brand new, I would probably suggest at least 3, probably closer to 5, because we want to teach them the technology. We want to walk them through the technology. We want to make sure that you have plenty of time to work out any kinks in the system. And so for a corporate wellness program, I think 5K a month or 5K or 5 days would be kind of a nice blend. And I would probably start it on like a Wednesday. So you go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with kind of prep days or teaching days. That way we kick things off on a Monday. Many times that makes the most sense with starting a program on a Monday. If it's people that are fairly familiar with it, 3 days of prep can be good, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. With some new stuff, I would probably add a couple more to it so that people just feel really comfortable, right? Super comfortable with the platform more than anything else, because you want people on the platform. So Crystal, can you explain, 5,000 employees. We're starting with a pilot of 100 4-week program, educating on physical, mental, and nutritional well-being. I got a 5K startup. All right, so 5K for 100 employees, right? So do the math there. What, that's $50 an employee. Is that good math? Public math, I love it. All right, so yeah, $50 an employee, right? So, I mean, they've shown you there that they're willing to invest about $50 per employee for this pilot 4-week program. And so explain a little bit more. So was the 5,000? Oh, so they didn't give you 5K for the 100 employee or for the 100 people. It's 5,000 employees. Or did you get $5,000 to start it up as well? So drop that one in there too. But I think figuring, okay, so 5K to just build the program. All right, so I mean, so this company, all right, is already invested in it, and so I think you're pretty reasonable with $40 an employee. And I would just confirm with the company that the 5K didn't mean running it with this pilot group of 100 people. If they're willing to invest on top of that, right? 100 people plus another 100 people at $40 a pop, another 4K to see if they would do it. And if they're willing to invest that in just a pilot program, then there's, I think, a good conversation to have over the year. And it's really looking at what are the deliverables on that and kind of the type of institutions too. Are they financial, which typically has bigger margins, or are they municipalities, which has a budget, right? I think finding out all of that information will help you in crafting the right proposal to these people. Because I know the other questions that came in was like, how do we go about, creating these proposals, where I don't really think it is going and pitching this stuff. I think it's going and having conversations about what are these companies struggling with. Do they know about how wellness programs can improve employee retention, employee um, absenteeism, productivity, all of those things. I mean, there's plenty of data out there now on companies. And so building out a deck around that and then crafting the program for the company. So we know what works, right? It's just crafting the correct program for the company. Um, and so, Crystal, you said, and now it comes down to pricing per employee, and which I think it's best to do a yearly contract. They're interested in a yearly contract with a budget of 40K for the year to run quarterly programs. Cool. Like I'd say, like, all right, figure out what you can do for 40K that's just going to absolutely blow them out of the water, right? Where they're going to think, hey, this was the best 40K we ever spent. I would collect data at the beginning every quarter on people to see what's going on, and figuring out some sort of assessment or survey form that they can fill out that's going to help you get better information on what's working. And then, look at what are the other deliverables. Is it just running quarterly ones? Are you coming in doing lunch and learns? Do you want to do a weekly newsletter or things like that? Are there other ways that you could provide value to this company? But at 5,000 employees at 40K, right? That's how much a person divided by $8, like basically $8 a person, give or take. Which you have the scale to be able to you have the ability to do this at scale, and so I would say give it a year and see kind of what it takes. Maybe it seems low, but you're number one is you're not going to have 5,000 people participate all the time. So it's going to be probably, let's say 20% of that. So it's going to probably be a couple hundred people potentially participating, maybe up to 1,000 participating at a time. And so it's not like you're coaching 5,000 people at a time. So I hope you do, because then you have more leverage into having the contract be bigger. But you can always counter, right? If they said, hey, we've got a 40K budget, being like, based on what you guys want to do, I would need to do it for 50K or something like that. I mean, you always have the ability to counter. So don't feel like whatever they give you is that piece. Or you do a short term, show that you can knock it out of the park. And then from there, and then move into a longer term contract with maybe better terms for you. And so, you're already kind of doing a pilot. So I think knock the pilot out of the park and then kind of figure out. And I would have questions like, hey, if we improve the health of your company, right? Do your insurance premiums go down, right? I don't know if they do or not, but are you going to be saving this company money by creating a healthier employee base, right? Everyone in the company lost 10 pounds. What would that do to their insurance premiums? I don't know. But those, I think, are some interesting conversations to have. And so you were saying they have high GLP-1 usage, HPV, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. You want to see? Okay. So yeah, so those are going to be numbers that you're going to be tracking, which my guess is it's really driving up their healthcare costs. And so you're going to want to look at bringing those down and seeing, are there ways that you can track some of that stuff? So like obesity is pretty easy, right? We can look at waist circumferences, hip circumferences. We could get a scale, a bioimpedance scale that we put in the office or at the business to get data on them, right? If you're local and have the ability to bring in like an in-body or something like that to look fancier, right? It's a higher perceived value. We can get some more data on people that way, depending on your skill set. You could be testing blood pressure if you wanted to, or have an automated machine or things like that. And so I would just track data around that, like blood pressure. Cool. Do we have the ability to track it? Can I measure it? Right at the beginning, can I measure it? So this is going to be time, right, to do a lot of this stuff. And obesity is a little bit easier, right? Diabetes gets a little bit more challenging, and you may be able to, depending on your professional background, you may be able to create programs specifically around some of these um, illnesses, right? You could have a diabetes program specific to them, or maybe kind of partner with an RD or something like that to run a diabetes program where you can specifically work with the people that have diabetes. That can add value to the program as well. But again, it also cuts into margins and that kind of stuff. So I'm just kind of like right now, just free flowing ideas. So hopefully this at least is giving you some ideas on how you can structure this. What are some of your favorite metrics in CC to add into a corporate program? I don't think they're any different than what we would if we're helping someone lose weight, right? Like, what do we have available to us? Do we have full-on bioimpedance? Cool. Let's do that stuff. Let's do muscle mass. Let's do fat mass. Let's do percentage of body fat. Do we only have access to a scale and tape measure? Cool. Let's do waist circumference, hip circumference, and a weight. Okay, that'll give us some numbers, right? And so it's really at what's available to you. If you have the ability to track blood pressure, if you have the ability to track diabetes numbers, I think those could be useful, right, in showing what's going on. Or maybe this company does have like an outside health company come in and do all those metrics on them, or their insurance company or someone. All of these are good questions to have because you could then use those measurements each time they do them as a way to prove efficacy in what you're doing. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about pricing here again. 40K for 5,000 employees, it's $8 per employee. If we had everyone participating in different things all the time, or we are allowing people to kind of go on their own journey, I think you could probably get away with like the Virgin Pulse model, which is like $3 per employee per month, give or take. But this, I think, is going to be a little bit more of a coaching type program. And so I think for you, it's really starting to look at, is this worth the time, or what not is it worth? Is the money that I'm getting, let's say the 40K, worth the time? How much time are you going to need to dedicate to this? And honestly, like the 4-week program will probably be a good. Okay, so you said out of the 5K, about 300 show up to health related initiatives. So they've done this before, right? So they have, I don't know, what's 300 of 5,000? A 6% show rate, which is like, how can you get, I think a big thing for you is how can you get 500 people, right, showing up, right? How can we engage 500 people, right? So now we're just moving that to 10%. And I think we can do that in offering different things. Most initiatives are always based around weight loss, always based around weight loss. And like some people are like, like maybe I do need to lose weight, but that's not what I want to work on. So can you offer some different programs or frame it in different ways? Some movement stuff. Can you have step challenges? Maybe every month you have a different challenge that people can join. Like really simple stuff, like 10,000 steps a day, or even like 5,000 steps a day, right? And they connect their Aura, or they connect their Garmin, or they connect whatever Fitbit or step tracker to the app, and you're looking at that stuff, right? And we're giving away prizes and that kind of, and really trying to just like make it fun. Some other kind of fun challenges that we've done, like go like 3 vegetables a day, eat 3 servings of vegetables a day, or 2 or 5 or whatever makes sense. I like the walking ones. I think that's a great one. You could do like a meditation challenge, or it's like 10 minutes of meditation or 10 minutes of being outside or anything like that. And so I think any of those could be other ways that you could just provide some more value that people that don't want to necessarily participate in like a full-blown course program and just want to like, hey, be part of a challenge, right? And I think finding other ways too to engage people in the workplace. So can you get there, and can you be engaging with the population? All right, so they want this program to bridge the gap between education and implementation. So yes, they're trying to make it fun, engaging, and create a lifestyle change. Yeah, and I would be talking with the company too, and how do we engineer an environment inside of this corporation or inside of this building that helps people be healthier, right? What does the break room look like? Right? Can we challenge people to go to the bathroom on a different floor, right? Can we put in some of these really simple, minor things that over the course of a long time make an impact? So I think there could be some interesting things there as well. But if we're doing like a lot of this consulting and we're doing an audit and we're kind of creating a plan for this company, like that then probably makes things more expensive, right? Because those are more like project based, or that could be added on to at a later date as well. So, Crystal, are there any more questions with this? I think we kind of went over a bunch of things. I want to look back at my other one with here. So we're looking to start with smaller local companies. Oh, the other one is how do you set up a contract with this person put in there? So Crystal, let me ask, how do you show the company data you've collected from CC? Will a report populate? So you're probably going to have to do some figuring with stuff, and you probably need to leave names off it. And so I would use reports inside of Coach Catalyst, like if we're looking at change in data. So if we're looking at metrics and that kind of thing, looking at weight at the beginning, weight at the end, you can run a report to be able to see kind of what the change was in those. And then you can export it into Excel spreadsheet and look at averages and that kind of stuff. But you're going to want to leave personal information off of any set of reporting that goes to corporate. But you'll be able to pull some Excel spreadsheets, use some reports and that kind of stuff inside of Coach Catalyst to do that. And then the last one was contracts. Like, how do we set it up? Like, contracts is just like a fancy term for what are we agreeing? What are we agreeing on? What are the deliverables? Right? That's what the contract is. And so it's just being very clear with who you're working with, and that's all the contract does, is it lays out the deliverables. What are the things that I'm going to be able to deliver to this company? So what are the expectations from me? What are the expectations from them? Right? I think it can be really simple. It doesn't need to be a ton of like legal jargon, all that kind of stuff. But what can they expect from you, and what do you need to expect, or what are you going to expect from them? Okay. How are payments going to be made? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it by check? Is it wires? What is it? I just make it really all a contract is everything about this relationship becomes clear and it's on paper. That's it. Make it simple. Make it simple. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Crystal, do you have any other questions? Pause here for a second because I know Facebook is a little bit delayed. Cool. I like it. This is a huge opportunity. So if you are a coach, nutrition, fitness, health doesn't really matter. There's a lot of opportunity here, and people and businesses are aware of this. And so it's something that's definitely worth pursuing because it's a one-to-many type of thing, right? Like with Crystal here, I mean, if you had 3 contracts, right, with companies, if you had 3 contracts at 40,000 a piece, that's 120K, and you only worked with those 3 companies, and you could probably reuse a lot of what you're doing at each one. That'd be pretty sweet, right? And so these are what I call whales, meaning you don't get a lot of them, but when you get one, you eat for a really long time. And so it's worth pursuing a whale, but not banking your entire business on whales. So hopefully that's helpful. If you guys have questions or want me to go in a little more detail, I'm more than happy to bring this on future episodes, or drop comments in Facebook. Make sure you tag me so that I see it, and then we can keep this conversation going. But I think your expertise with the technology of Coach Catalyst makes for a really easy deployment, easy win in the corporate wellness space. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you guys got a little value out of that. That's it. That's all we got. Another one in the books. See you guys later. Have a good Tuesday.